The red sun rose over the sharp mountains of Ruker, casting long shadows across the warrior fields. Today was not a normal day. The Zernic people stood in lines, wearing their strongest armor and holding sharp spears. They were proud and strong. They believed no race in the galaxy could defeat them in combat. At the front of the crowd stood Tira, a young warrior girl with sharp eyes and wild red hair tied back in a knot. She was the youngest warrior ever accepted into the Zernic battle group. She trained harder than most, fought with fire in her heart, and never backed down from any challenge. Tira looked up at the sky. Her fists tightened. "They come today," she whispered. Her best friend, Darn, stood beside her. "The humans?" he asked. Tira nodded. "Yes, and I will challenge one of them. I will show the elders that Zernic are still the strongest." Darn looked nervous. The elders said they are peaceful. They only come for trade talks. Tira smiled with pride. Even peaceful ones must know their place. Far across the field, the elders of Zernic stood on a high platform. Their long robes moved with the wind. The oldest elder, Goran, raised his hand. "Today, the humans come. They offer friendship. We will listen, but we will also test them." The crowd cheered. Soon, a silver ship landed quietly on the edge of the field. It was small, without weapons, without flags. The door opened slowly. A group of humans stepped out. They wore soft black uniforms, simple and clean. No bright colors, no armor, just calm faces. In front of them stood a tall man with brown hair and light eyes. He walked with ease, not fear. His name was Tom. Tira watched him carefully. He did not carry a sword. He did not look like a warrior. Yet, something about him felt different. Not weak, just quiet. The humans walked toward the elders. "The Zernic," crowd whispered. "Where's their army? Do they not fear us? Why do they look so calm?" The oldest elder, Goran, stepped forward. "Welcome, humans of Earth. We are Zernic. We are proud. We are strong. We accept your offer of peace. But before trade begins, we have one custom." Tom nodded. "We understand." Goran looked out over the crowd. "One of our warriors has asked for a combat trial." Tira stepped forward. I am Tira of the South Spear. I challenge any human to a fair fight. No weapons that kill. No tricks. Just skill." The crowd roared. This was tradition. This was pride. Tom looked at the others. Then he stepped forward. "I accept." Tira's heart jumped, but she did not show it. She nodded. "Then let us fight now." Goran agreed. "Let it begin." The crowd made a circle. Tira and Tom stood in the center. A simple wooden staff was given to each of them. No sharp ends. No armor. Tira moved first fast, spinning, swinging with power. She expected Tom to jump back or block wildly, but he didn't. He stepped aside. Just a step. Calm, easy. Her strike missed. Before she could swing again, Tom moved behind her, tapped her leg with his staff, and gently pushed her shoulder. She fell. The Zernic gasped. Tira jumped to her feet, red with anger. Again, Tom nodded once. This time, she came harder. She tried every move she learned in her training: low sweeps, high spins, two-handed strikes. She roared, danced, twisted. But Tom never shouted. He never showed his teeth. He simply moved, blocked, waited. And again, she fell. Not hard, not hurt, but defeated. The crowd was quiet. Tira lay there, eyes wide, staring at the sky. What just happened? She had fought the best in her tribe. She had won trials since childhood. Yet this man, this soft-spoken human, beat her like it was nothing. Tom offered his hand. Tira stared at it, then stood up on her own. She didn't take his hand. "You win," she said, "but I will learn. I will fight again." Tom gave a small nod. He turned and walked back to his group. The humans said nothing. No cheers, no laughter. They simply walked calmly, as if nothing great had happened. The Zernic crowd remained silent for a long moment. Then whispers began again. "She lost." He did not even try hard. What kind of strength is this? Tira stood in the circle alone. She looked down at the staff in her hand. It was not broken, but her pride felt like it was. Darn walked up beside her. Are you okay? Tira didn't answer at first. Then she said, he was different. I thought I could beat him. I was sure. But he didn't fight like us. He didn't need to. Darn said. He was calm. Tira's eyes narrowed. I must learn how he did that. I need to understand their way. Far above, the elders watched in silence. Gorn looked at the younger council members. Today, we saw something strange, he said. The humans came not with power, but with peace. Yet even in peace, they showed strength. The others nodded back at their camp. The humans prepared food. Tom sat quietly. One of the younger crew, a girl named Lena, asked, why didn't you fight harder? You could have ended it sooner. Tom answered softly, because she needed to learn, not be broken. Lena smiled. She's watching us, you know. Tom looked toward the hill. In the shadows, Tira stood, watching their every move. She'll come again, he said. And next time, she won't be the same. The sun had barely set, but the warrior field still echoed with silence. No songs were sung. No drums were beaten. The Zernic people had watched something they never expected. Tira, their youngest and most fearless warrior, had been defeated. Twice, and not by a creature of great size or power but by a quiet human named Tom, who barely even raised his voice. Tira sat alone by the edge of the river, her spear beside her. Untouched, her hands were dirty from training. Her face was still red from the falls, but her eyes burned with something deeper than shame, determination. I was not weak, she whispered to herself. I was unprepared. She picked up a stone and threw it across the water. It skipped 3 times, then sank. Just like her pride, Darn approached slowly. He carried a warm drink made from root herbs. You should rest. Tira shook her head. No, I need to fight again. Darn sat beside her. The humans are different. You saw that. They don't fight like us. Tira looked at him. Then I'll learn how they fight. I will study their steps, their thinking, their quiet strength. I will challenge Tom again. And this time, I will not fall. The next morning, Tira walked into the human camp without warning. The guards tensed. But Tom raised a hand. He stood up slowly. I didn't come to fight, Tira said. I came to learn. Tom studied her for a moment, then stepped aside. Then watch. What Tira saw surprised her. The humans were not resting or showing off. They were training, but not with anger or noise. They worked in silence, fast drills, short movements, team exercises. Men and women trained together, no, one above the other. Each movement was sharp but calm. Tom moved like water. Every block, every turn was simple, but it was always enough. He didn't waste energy. He didn't show off. He flowed. Tira crossed her arms. Why do you not shout? Why do you not cheer when you win? A young woman named Lena answered while doing kicks. Because we don't train to impress. We train to survive. Tira blinked. Survive? Tom spoke then, his voice low. Pride makes your hands shake. Anger makes your mind slow. In a real fight, silence wins. Tira said nothing. Her thoughts ran wild. All her life, she had been taught to roar before battle, to show strength, to make the enemy fear her. But here, in front of her, were warriors who didn't roar but still won. Later that day, the Zernic elders called for a second trial. They didn't like silence. They didn't like how the crowd looked at Tom with new eyes. Elder Gorn declared that another test would show the true balance of power. Tira stepped forward again. I will fight the human once more, she said. Tom agreed with a nod. But this time, the crowd was different, less cheering, more watching. In the center of the field, Tira and Tom faced each other again. She took a deep breath, remembering everything she saw earlier. She lowered her stance, calmed her thoughts, and waited. The crowd leaned forward. Tira moved first, but not wild this time. Her steps were shorter, more focused. She didn't shout. She didn't try to hit hard. Tom blocked her strikes easily, but there was a slight nod in his eyes. He noticed her change. They moved back and forth. Tira tried new footwork, different angles. She lasted longer. She even landed a light strike on Tom's shoulder. The Zernic gasped. It wasn't a win, but it was a sign she had improved. Tom smiled slightly. Then, in one clean move, he stepped in, turned, and placed his staff gently behind Tira's knee. She fell again. But this time, she rolled and stood quickly, without frustration. Tom lowered his staff. You are learning. Tira nodded, breathing hard. You fight like wind. I've never seen such stillness and power together. The crowd began to whisper again, but not with shame. For the first time, they whispered with respect. That night, Tira sat beside the human fire. She didn't speak. She just watched. The humans offered her food. Simple stew. Warm. Filling. No poison. No fear. Tom sat beside her. You fight with heart. That's rare. Tira looked into the fire. I always thought heart was enough. Tom poked the fire with a stick. It's a good start. But heart needs eyes. It must learn. Grow. Tira looked at him. Will you teach me? Tom nodded. We all learned together. The next morning, a wild alarm rang through the Zernick village. A large alien beast had entered the lower valley. It was strong, fast, and dangerous. Many Zernick hunters had tried to catch it before and failed. The elders ordered warriors to gather. Tira, already awake, ran toward the threat. But by the time she reached the valley, she saw something shocking. The humans were already there. Tom and his team had formed a half-circle, protecting a group of Zernick children caught near the river. The beast roared, charging toward the group. Tira started to yell, move, but stop. Tom didn't run. He didn't roar. He gave a signal with his hand. In perfect motion, two humans used nets, another used a flashbang light. The beast turned in confusion, slowed by the surprise. Then Tom leaped forward and struck it behind the leg, not to kill, but to weaken its step. The beast stumbled. The others moved in. Not one blow was too hard. Not one move was wasted. In less than a minute, the beast was down alive, but no longer a danger. The Zernick who had arrived stood still, amazed. Tira walked forward, slowly, eyes wide. You protected the children first. Tom looked at her. That's always the first rule. Elder Goran stepped through the crowd. He stared at the humans, then at the calm beast on the ground. You defeated the creature, he said. With no loss, with no harm. Tom said nothing. Tira stepped beside him, and they did it together. With no fear, with quiet minds. Goran looked at her. You begin to understand. Tira nodded. Yes, and I want to learn more. The elder looked out at the quiet field. The Zernick warriors, once loud and proud, now stood still. Not in defeat, but in silent thought. The morning air on Rukr was cool and still. The sky above was clear. But the hearts of the Zernick were not. Since the humans had arrived, something had changed. People no longer laughed loudly in the warrior yards. Young fighters no longer bragged about how many battles they had won. They were thinking. They were remembering how Tira had fallen. Not once but twice without the human even raising his voice. And they were remembering how the same humans had saved their children from the wild beast without pride, without fear. Tira stood alone on the ridge outside the human camp, her hands resting on the hilt of her training blade. Her eyes followed the humans as they worked. Below, they were not resting. They were training, just like yesterday. Simple moves, fast drills, quiet practice. Why are they always so calm? She whispered to herself. She stepped forward, walked down the hill, and entered the human camp again. The guards looked at her but didn't stop her. She had become a familiar face. Tom saw her and nodded. You're back. I said I would learn, Tira said, so I came to see more. Tom handed her a training stick. Then train with us. Tira looked surprised. You want me to join you? Yes, Tom said. That's how we learn. Together. Tira stepped into the circle. The others made space. Lena smiled at her. Don't worry. No one here cares how many battles you've won. We all just try to improve. The session began. They moved in rhythm step, strike, block, turn. Tira followed. At first, she felt strange. There was no shouting, no loud orders, just hand signals and short words like left, behind, guard. She liked it. After an hour, They paused to drink water. Tira sat beside Lena. Your people are strange, Tira said. Lena laughed. We get that a lot. You're strong, Tira said, but you don't show it. You don't talk about it. Why? Lena looked at her. Where we come from, many people have suffered because of loud power. Leaders who only wanted to look strong. So we were taught that true strength is quiet. It does not shout. It listens. Tira looked down at her hands. I always thought strength was noise. Weapons, roars. Tom joined them then. Noise can scare, but silence can control. Tira thought about that. She remembered her first fall. How quiet it was when she hit the ground. How calm Tom's eyes were. No pride, no hate, just focus. I want to learn more, she said. The next day, Tira spent her time fully with the humans. She watched how they trained not just their bodies, but their minds. They meditated in the morning. They cleaned their tools with care. They respected each other, even the younger ones. No one fought to prove they were better. They fought to be ready. She followed Tom closely. She asked questions. She copied his movements. At first, she struggled. She was fast and strong, but not balanced. Her anger sometimes made her step sloppy. Her pride made her stiff. But Tom was patient. Balance is more important than speed, he told her. Control is more important than force. At night, she sat with them near the fire. They told stories not of victory, but of survival. They spoke about how Earth had suffered many wars, how people had learned, grown, and changed. She asked Tom, why did you agree to fight me that day? Tom looked into the fire. To show you that fighting doesn't always need to hurt. Sometimes it needs to teach. Tira nodded. You did both. Tom smiled. The next morning, Tira returned home for a short time. She walked through the village. People stared at her not with anger, not with shame, but with curiosity. Is it true? Someone asked. Do humans fight without rage? Are they really stronger with no pride? Tira didn't answer right away. She just said, you must see them yourselves. At the council hall, the elders called her in. Elder Goran looked at her carefully. You spend much time with them, he said. They have much to teach, Tira replied. They made you fall. Yes, she said. But they also helped me rise. The other elders murmured. Goran leaned forward. What do they want? Peace, Tira said. Friendship, and to grow stronger together. Goran raised a brow. And why do they train so hard if they seek peace? Tira smiled. Because peace is not weak. It is hard. You must protect it. The room fell silent. A few days later, the humans and Zernuk were invited to a joint meeting in the Great Hall. It was the first time humans had been allowed inside. The Zernuk warriors stood on one side, the humans on the other. Between them stood a large ring, the circle of learning, where important lessons were shared through movement and combat. Goran stood and spoke. We have seen much, we have heard much, but Zernuk do not learn only by words. We learn by challenge. We ask once more who among the humans will face us, so that we may understand your ways. Tom looked at Lena, then at Tira. Then he stepped forward. I will step into the ring, but not to win, to show. A large warrior from the north, named Brook, stepped out. He was strong, loud, and proud. He had watched too long from the side and wanted to prove that Zernuk pride still stood. The crowd gathered. The drums beat once again. The trial began. Brook charged with loud feet. He shouted, swinging hard. But Tom did not move fast. He moved smart. He turned, ducked, shifted. He didn't hit to harm, he hit to move. The fight lasted longer than Tira's trials. Brook was stronger, but he grew tired fast. Tom stayed calm. His breathing never changed. At last, Brook fell not from a big strike, but from a small trip and a gentle push. The room went silent. No one cheered. Tom offered Brook his hand. Brook stared up, breathing hard. Then slowly, he took it. Tira smiled. She turned to the crowd and said, now you see, this is not weakness, this is wisdom, and it is time we learn from it. Goran stood, arms crossed. Then, after a long pause, he nodded once. Let the learning begin. The sun rose over the rocky plains of Rukr, bright and strong. But today, something was different. The warrior yards, once filled with loud shouts and prideful songs, were now filled with quiet steps and steady movement. Tira stood in the center of the yard, surrounded by young Zernic warriors. She held a wooden training staff. Her stance was low and balanced, just as Tom had taught her. Again, she said calmly. The others moved in pairs, practicing the new style of fighting. It was not about showing strength. It was about timing, balance, and control. Some of the warriors still moved too fast or shouted too loudly. But little by little, they were learning. From the hill above, Elder Goran watched with crossed arms. He said nothing, but his eyes followed every move. Later that day, Tira returned to the human camp. Tom was teaching a group of human and Zernic fighters together. They moved in a wide circle, practicing soft blocks and quiet footwork. Tira joined. Then, without speaking, Tom gave her a small nod. They moved for an hour slow, then fast, then slow again. After the training, they all sat together under the trees. The air was cool, and birds flew above them. One young Zernic warrior named Loro asked, "Why do you never use your full strength in training?" Tom looked at him. "Because training is not for winning. It is for learning. If I break my partner, who will help me improve tomorrow?" Tira listened carefully. She understood that now. Before, she had always tried to win in every match. But with the humans, she had learned that growth matters more than victory. That evening, as the sun fell, a loud horn echoed across the valley. It was the warning call. Tira and Tom stood at once. Warriors ran toward the edge of the village. People shouted. Something had happened. A scout arrived, covered in dust. A large beast broke into the southern fields, he said. It attacked one of the food storage huts. Tira and Tom exchanged a glance. "We go," Tom said. A group of humans and Zernic warriors moved quickly through the hills. Tira ran beside Tom. Her steps were light, her staff ready. When they reached the fields, they saw the damage. Trees were torn down. A small hut was broken, and in the middle stood a large, four-legged beast with sharp tusks and thick skin. Its eyes glowed with wild anger. Some young Zernic warriors started to charge, but Tom raised a hand. "Wait." Tira moved closer. "It's hurt. Look at its side." They saw a small cut near the beast's leg. Blood dripped slowly. Tom whispered, "It's not attacking. It's in pain." Tira nodded. "If we scare it more, it will fight harder." Tom gave quick hand signals. The humans moved silently. They spread out, surrounding the beast but keeping a safe distance. Tira copied the signal to the Zernic. At first, they looked confused, but then they followed. The group moved like water now, shouting, "No panic." One human threw a small stone near the beast, drawing its attention. As the beast turned, Tom and Tira moved from the side. They stayed low, slow, calm. Tom knelt and placed a soft light near the beast's feet. It blinked and stopped. Tira stepped forward and tossed a smoke pouch near its eyes, not to harm, but to distract. As the beast turned again, a human used a soft net to slow its legs. Finally, Tom and Tira reached its side. Together, they used strong cloth to wrap the wound. The beast roared once, then fell still. It did not fight. It did not run. It trusted them. Later, the team returned to the village. The crowd waited, worried. When they saw the beast was alive and calm, they gasped, "You didn't kill it?" Someone asked. "No," Tira said. "We helped it." Elder Goran stepped forward. "But it was a danger." Tom spoke softly. "Sometimes danger is just pain we don't understand. We didn't come to destroy. We came to help." The crowd grew. Quiet. Tira looked around. "We used to think that strength meant power. But now I see it means wisdom. It means patience." Some young warriors nodded. Others still looked unsure. Elder Goran studied Tom, then looked at Tira. "You believe their way is better?" Tira shook her head. "Not better, but it is a way we can learn from. A way that makes us stronger without losing what we are." In the days that followed, the humans and Zernic trained together every morning. Tira took on a new role, not just as a warrior, but as a bridge between two worlds. She translated, explained, and showed how the two fighting styles could mix. Some elders still whispered behind closed doors. They did not like change, but others saw the progress: fewer injuries, smarter battles, better teamwork. Tom spent more time with Goran, sharing ideas about peace, defense, and survival. One evening, as stars filled the sky, Goran asked Tom, "What do humans fear?" Tom looked up, losing the chance to grow, fighting the same fights forever. Turning strength into pride, Goran nodded slowly. "That we understand." One morning, the training was interrupted by a new message. A Zernic exploration ship had crashed deep in the southern jungle. A rescue was needed, but the jungle was full of dangers, wild creatures, unstable ground, poisonous plants. It was too dangerous for a single team. Tira stepped forward. "Let us go. Together, human and Zernic, a joint rescue." Tom nodded. "We will follow your lead." Goran looked at them both. "Then prove your training, prove your unity." And so, the rescue team was formed. 10 humans, 10 Zernic, Tira and Tom as co-leaders. They packed supplies, light weapons, and healing kits. No one shouted. No one questioned. They moved as one. Before they left, Goran placed a hand on Tira's shoulder. "Do not forget who you are." "I won't," she said, "but I will become more." The team walked into the jungle, side by side. The trees closed behind them, and a new chapter began. The jungle of Rukar was dark and thick. The trees grew tall, their branches tangled like claws. The air was heavy with the smell of wet earth and strange plants. The team moved carefully, their eyes alert. Each step was soft, but their hearts beat loudly. Tira led the group with Tom beside her. Humans and Zernic walked side by side. The silence between them was not awkward, it was focused. Suddenly, a sharp cry echoed through the trees. The team stopped. Everyone looked toward the sound. "It's coming from the crash site," Tira said. "We must hurry." The ground grew rougher. Roots twisted like snakes. Vines hung low. The team moved slower, but their goal was clear. After an hour, they reached a small clearing. There, the wreck of a Zernic exploration ship lay broken and smoking. The metal was twisted. The ground around it was torn up. Tira called out, "Is anyone alive?" A weak voice answered, "Help, please." The team rushed forward. Behind the ship's wreck, they found 3 Zernic explorers. They were injured but alive. Tom quickly checked their wounds. "We need to move them. It's not safe here." Tira helped lift one of the injured onto a stretcher. The others followed. As they prepared to leave, a loud growl sounded from the bushes. Out stepped a large alien beast with sharp teeth and glowing eyes. It was the same kind of creature that attacked the village before, but bigger and angrier. The team froze. Tira raised her staff, ready to fight. Tom raised a hand. "Wait!" The beast snarled and stepped closer. It was clear it wanted to protect something near the ship. Tira studied the ground and saw a small, injured animal hiding behind a tree. The beast was guarding it. Tom whispered, "It is protecting its young." Tira looked at the team. "We must not fight it. We must find another way." Tom nodded. "We will use what we learned." The team quickly formed a circle. Some humans moved quietly to prepare nets and smoke devices. Tira stepped forward slowly. She spoke softly in the beast's language, learned from earlier encounters. The beast growled but did not attack. Tira moved closer, showing no fear. The beast watched her carefully. Suddenly, one of the humans threw a small smoke pouch near the beast's feet. The beast stumbled, confused. In that moment, the team acted together. They moved quickly to block its path and protect the injured. The beast roared loudly but could not reach them. Finally, Tira stepped between the beast and the injured animal. She raised her staff, not to strike, but as a shield. The beast growled one last time, then turned and left. The team breathed a sigh of relief. Back at camp, the injured were cared for. The team sat together, tired but proud. Tira looked at Tom. "You did not fight with anger." Tom smiled. "Anger is a tool, but only if used wisely." Tira nodded. "I have learned much from you." Suddenly, A loud voice interrupted them. It was Krull, the strongest warrior from the North Tribe. He had come to challenge the humans and prove Zernik's strength. Krull stepped into the camp, his eyes burning with fire. Enough of your quiet games. I will show you true strength. The team stood ready. Tom stepped forward. If you want to fight, let it be fair. Krull laughed. Fair. I fight to win. The camp gathered to watch. The battle began. Krull charged with a loud roar. His strikes were heavy and fast. Tom did not rush. He moved calmly, blocking and dodging. Krull grew tired. His anger made him sloppy. Tom saw an opening and used Krull's own momentum to trip him. Krull fell hard but was not hurt. Tom offered his hand. Krull looked up, surprised. Slowly, he took it. The crowd was silent. Tira stepped forward. This is not weakness. This is strength beyond force. Krull nodded slowly. That night, the village was quiet. Tira and Tom sat by the fire. Tira said, I once thought strength was power and pride. Tom replied, true strength is knowing when not to use power. They sat in silence, watching the stars. Tira smiled. The path is hard, but it is right. Tom nodded. The jungle around the Zernik village was alive with sounds. Birds sang in the trees. Leaves rustled as a soft wind blew through. But the peace felt strange to Tira. She stood near the village edge, looking out into the thick green forest. Today was different. The elders had spoken. A new trial would test the humans once more, but not in a simple fight. This time, it was a joint mission. A Zernik ship had crashed deep in the hostile jungle. The rescue was urgent. Many dangers waited: wild beasts, traps, and poison plants. The only way to succeed was to work together, humans and Zernik. Tira stood beside Tom. They were chosen to lead the team. Are you ready? Tom asked. Tira nodded. We have trained. We can do this. The team gathered 10 humans, 10 Zernik. Each carried supplies, light weapons, and healing kits. The elders watched silently as the team prepared to leave. Gorn spoke to Tira. Remember who you are, but also remember what you have learned. Tira smiled. I will not forget. The team entered the jungle, moving carefully. Their steps were quiet, their eyes sharp. The trees grew thick, vines hung low. Strange sounds echoed around them. The team moved as one, watching for dangers. Tom and Tira shared leadership. Tom guided the humans. Tira guided the Zernik. They used hand signals and quiet words. After hours of walking, they reached a deep ravine. A narrow rope bridge crossed the gap. The bridge looked old and weak. Tira tested the first step. It creaked but held. One by one, the team crossed. Some humans helped the Zernik who were less sure. Tom crossed last, watching everyone carefully. On the other side, the jungle grew even thicker. Suddenly, a noise. A group of strange creatures appeared, small but fast. They surrounded the team. The creatures hissed and tried to attack. The team formed a circle. Tom whispered instructions. The humans and Zernik worked together, blocking and dodging. Tira saw one creature running toward a human. She moved fast and caught it with her staff. The fight was quick but fierce. At the end, the creatures ran away. No one was hurt. The team continued. Finally, they reached the crash site. The ship was broken. Smoke rose slowly. Inside, they found the crew alive but weak. The rescuers gave water and helped them out. Suddenly, a large beast appeared. It roared and charged. The team did not panic. Tira raised her staff. Tom gave a signal. The team used nets and smoke to distract the beast. Tira stepped forward and spoke softly to it. The beast growled but stopped. It turned and left. The team sighed with relief. On the way back, Tira and Tom watched the team. Everyone was tired but proud. Tom said, You led well. Tira smiled. We all led, together. When they returned, the elders met them. Gorn looked at the team. You showed strength, not just of body, but of mind. He turned to Tira. You have grown. Tira bowed. Thanks to them, the elders nodded. That night, Tira sat by the fire with Tom. She said, This mission was hard, but we succeeded because we trusted each other. Tom nodded. Trust is the strongest bond. Tira smiled. I never thought humans could teach me so much, Tom laughed softly. And I never thought I would learn from an alien warrior. They both looked at the stars, knowing a new future was beginning. The sun was setting over the valley of Rooker, painting the sky with warm orange and pink colors. The air was calm, but the village buzzed with excitement. Today was a day unlike any other. Tira stood at the center of the warrior yard. Round her were Zernic warriors, humans, elders, and many villagers. They had all gathered to witness a special event, the end of old rivalries. In the beginning of a new path, Elder Goran stepped forward, his voice strong. We have seen much in recent days. We have watched young warriors fall and rise. We have seen humans fight without pride and Zernic learn without shame. Today, we mark a new beginning. The crowd was quiet, waiting. Tira looked at Tom standing beside her. The human's calm eyes met hers, full of respect and friendship. Goran continued. From now on, humans and Zernic will train together. They will learn from one another. They will protect each other. And they will face the future united. The crowd cheered softly. Tira took a deep breath. She remembered the first day humans arrived, the challenges, the doubts, the falls. She smiled, then spoke clearly to everyone. When I first fought Tom, I was sure I would win. I was proud. I thought strength was loud and fast, but I was wrong. She looked around at the faces, young warriors, curious children, proud elders. True strength is calm. It is patience. It is knowing when to fight and when to listen. I have learned from the humans, and they have learned from us. Tom stepped forward. Your people taught us courage. You never gave up. You fight with heart. Together, we are stronger. The crowd applauded. Many faces showed hope. After the ceremony, the training yards changed. Humans and Zernic trained side by side. They shared skills, stories, and laughter. Tira and Tom led new groups of young warriors. They taught the way of balance, using power and wisdom together. One day, a young Zernic named Mira came to Tira. Teacher, will we ever fight like before? She asked. Tira smiled. We will fight, but not to prove ourselves. We will fight to protect. Mira nodded, understanding. Months passed. The village grew stronger. Traders from other planets came, surprised by the peace and unity. The humans and Zernic began sharing technology and culture. The old walls of fear slowly fell. Elder Goran stood with Tira and Tom one evening, watching the stars. We have found a new way, he said quietly. Not through force alone, but through respect. Tira nodded. Our battles made us strong, but our peace will make us great. Tom smiled. And that peace will spread across the stars. The story of Tira and the humans became a legend. A tale of courage, humility, and unity. A story of how the very different peoples chose to learn from each other, and how, in doing so, they became more than warriors. They became brothers and sisters of the galaxy. End of part 7.